Geekazine is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network found at www.techpodcasts.com. If it's tech, then it's here. This is the Geekazine Weekly Podcast, episode number 182, take number 2. Oh, it's late, it's fun, and got a lot of stuff to go through. Once again, I use that usual scrubby to find all the cool stuff over the interweb, and I found a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about XXX domains. We're going to talk about Apple. We're going to talk about the passing of a couple legends. We're going to be talking about iPads, gold iPads, and a whole lot more. We use that usual scrubby. We used it extra hard this week to find all the cool stuff. So let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks a lot for watching and coming to the show over at Geekazine, www.geekazine.com. This is take numeral 20220, numeral second, the second copy I'm doing of this. I got about 10-15 minutes into the first episode, part of the episode, and I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden everything went kapopoy, and everything passed away. So like I said, I don't know what happened, but now we're back up and running, and hopefully things have subsided. What happened basically was I think that Ustream reset, and when Ustream reset, all of a sudden Wirecast crashed on me because it didn't know what happened. So, and actually, this is the first time that Ustream has gone down for me since I think like December. So no, that's not too bad. Have a small crash on here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if it's been a very interesting weekend, and weekend's been on and off. Of course, I went to the Midwest Gaming Classic, but the other thing was that something happened, and I spent the last 48 hours taking care of retrieving video from security systems, and because of certain events that happened in the Madison, Wisconsin area. But now I've got that all taken care of. Of course, that pretty much sucked up my whole day. And I decided, well, do I want to do the podcast first thing tomorrow morning, or do I want to just belt it out tonight? Well, of course, it's starting to believe that belting it out tonight is probably not the best idea. We'll find out if take number 2 doesn't happen. Because if take number 2 stops, then I'm just going to call it a night and then wake up tomorrow morning and do it again and see if that makes things all happy and so on and so forth. So. But anyway, so now we've got everything out of the way. I'm now back up and running. We've got the first run done, and now I've tested everything out, looking good. So a little bit more over the weekend. I went over to the Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I got to see all the cool mods and stuff that people are gaming and got to browse all the cool products that I could purchase. Did some interviews. I did about 7 interviews, excuse me. And, of course, that's running all this week. This morning, or on Tuesday morning, you got to see the interview with Ben Heckendorn. On Wednesday morning, you're going to see the interview with Jerry Ellsworth. And, of course, we've got some other interviews. There's a joystick, old Atari-looking joystick that you can purchase. Of course, there's Pinball, which is a website if you're looking to buy old pinball machines or refurbished pinball machines or pinball parts and stuff like that. Wand Crafters was the first interview we did for the week, where they made wands for you. So, and that's, of course, that's over at Special Media Feed. So if you go over to Geekazine, I'm going to show you this right now. If you go over to geekazine.com and you look on the right side, that green box right there, that's all the RSS feeds. The podcast, the quickcast, the day in tech history, the special media feed, and the 5 tech things are going to be coming up there in a couple days. Once I reconfigure the interface, probably the quickcast will come off. But it'll show you how to get it on iTunes, on Zune, Stitcher, on podcast.com, Zen, and the Tech Podcast Network, which we are a proud member of. And that's all over in the screen box over on the right at Geekazine. But of course, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll be able to subscribe to Geekazine by putting in your name and email address. And of course, that'll get you show notes straight to your inbox every single week for the Geekazine Weekly Podcast. And then, of course, there's me and Ben Heckendorn. There's a bigger version right there. Me and Ben Heckendorn talking about the pinball, the lost pinball machine that they had there. All right. Yeah, I'm making the trek out to Blog World New Media Expo in May, out in New York City. So I will be out there. I'm looking for people to help sponsor me for the trip. So if you're a company that's looking to sponsor somebody, please drop me a line over at geekazine@gmail.com. Geekazine@gmail.com. And of course, if you're going out there too, let me know. So next week is building social relationships. Not next week. April 13th is building social relationships at Madison SMC. If you're in the Madison area, you might want to check out Madison Social Media Club, madisonsmc.org. And of course, it's a group that gets together and talks social media. So if you're in the world of social media, you want to check out madisonsmc.org. Of course, it's part of the Social Media Club group nationwide. And of course, I'm a proud member of the Social Media Club as well. Talked about the Midwest Gaming Classic. We got a longer show than normal. There's over 30 links in this show. So I'm hoping that this is going to give me a little bit of pressure to keep going and push through and get 40, 50 minutes worth of content for you in audio and video format. Of course, video goes a little bit longer than audio as I play some extra video stuff in the show. So I encourage you to go over to geekazine.com, check out the video and the audio of the Geekazine Weekly Podcast. I appreciate it much. Appreciate everybody that downloads and watches the show. Like I say, we're watched in many countries, including countries like Ghana. So once again, the person from Ghana listened to the show again. Excuse me, and I appreciate that very, very much. So, of course, we're big in China. We're big in the United States as well. So a lot of people catch us on Roku, on Boxy, and, of course, through the Tech Podcast Network at techpodcast.tv, which is another great portal to get Geekazine content. All right, let's pay homage to the sponsors and then get you on your merry way into the tech news of superpower tech. Of course, I talked about tech podcasts. Go over to techpodcast.com to catch all the cool tech-related shows. If it's tech, it's here. It's over at techpodcast.com. If you're starting a brand new website or a brand old website and you've never used GoDaddy, they've got a special offer for you, but you only got a couple days left to use it, so use it now and use it now. And that's CES25. Yeah, I said that on purpose. CES25 gets you 25% off a domain, hosting, SSL certificate, T-shirt, anything you want. At checkout, you just use that code CES25, and that gets you an additional 10% off. I don't know if you can get Danica Patrick for 25% off, but you can certainly try. So go over to GoDaddy.com, 25% off. Use the code CES25, and you've only got a few days left to do that. Of course, Luxor, get to the point. They helped us at the CES, and of course, if you haven't checked out all the CES coverage, you can check that out over at Geekazine or TPN.TV. And, of course, we stayed at the point. We stayed at Luxor, Las Vegas. Rooms start at $40 a night, and they're pretty decent rooms. I really enjoyed it. The one that I was in, double bed, and I had a nice big flat screen TV and a Bose system. Had a fridge, had a coffee maker, had a microwave in the room, and a Whirlpool hot tub, Whirlpool tub, whatever you want to call it. It was pretty cool. So you can check it out. They have a lot of great rooms, Players Club rooms, and, of course, the VIP rooms. They got some great deals, and you get some complimentary admissions to different lounges. You get $20 off the tender steak and seafood and 25% off retail purchases. This is all through the Luxor. So get to the point and check that out. Go over to Geekazine. You'll see the link. That'll take you to Luxor, and, of course, that supports Geekazine and our CES coverage. Audible.com. Go over to audible.com and get yourself some of your favorite books on audio. As I tell you, what I like to do is I like to pick up a book, and then I like to get the audio book over at Audible, and I like to listen to the audiobook and read the book at the same time. Of course, if you want to get your copy of whatever, you get a free copy for yours to keep. It's not going to expire at any time. It's a 14-day trial of Audible, and you get the free audio download. You can choose from over 85,000 audiobooks and more for Android, iPhone, and iPod, and other MP3 players. So all you have to do is go over to audiblepodcast.com, audiblepodcast.com/CES. audiblepodcast.com/CES gets you that 14-day free trial over at audible.com. And of course, Mozy, of my main sponsor, 15% off now. It was 10%. I talked to them. I said, hey, let's get 15% off. They said, okay. So 15% off that already low price to back up now, back up often, back up off-site. The best part about Mozy is they also have an option to back up on-site via USB drive. So you can back up your pictures, back up your documents, back up your videos, back up anything that a person can't get back. From fire, from theft, from anything. Even if you get a brand new computer, you can bring it back down using Mozy's service, and you're not losing your pictures, your life, your personal data. And then, of course, if you use the code GEEK, that gets you an additional 15% off that already low price. So back up now, back up often, back up off-site with Mozy.com. Really quick shout out to snorgtees.com. I just saw my favorite one right here. My new favorite one says, it's peanut butter jelly time, baby. Well, it doesn't say baby, but peanut butter jelly time. And, of course, winning. We've got a lot of great shirts over at snorgtees.com. If you see me wearing a T-shirt, it's most likely a Snorg tee. And then, finally, the video that I do is all because of one program called Wirecast. Go over to telestream.com and check out Wirecast. Prices start at $449, but you'll be able to switch between webcams, FireWire cams, computers. It's for Windows, it's for Mac. So you'll be able to do a lot of different stuff and make it look a little bit more professional. Put the little banners on the bottom. You buy the Pro Edition, which is $1,000, but you can have this cool little things like IP tunnel protocols and stuff like that. So you can be in one area under a certain node of the network, and then the computer can be in a different area under a different node of the network, and you can tunnel through so you can push the content over there, so you don't have to set up, tear down, move over, set up, tear down, move over, so on and so forth. So that's over at telestream.net. And okay, there we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, let's get into your content for this week. All right, we're going to start over at HuffingtonPost.com. And I think we're back to where we were, and I think I'm a couple minutes shy of where I was last time. So yay! Hopefully no problems here. Cross my fingers. All right, India is going to be the first nation to block the new .xxx domain. Of course, last week ICANN had approved the .xxx domain. And this is what I think a lot of content providers were concerned about, is the overall blocking of a whole top-level domain. And, of course, we're seeing that right now with India blocking that. Of course, India being one of those countries that, doesn't really care too much for pornographic material. So they just decide to block it outright. And, of course, they have the right because, there's no democracy there. That's not ever going to happen in the United States. But certain internet service providers might say, hey, you under our terms of agreement, you don't watch porn, and so we're going to block .xxx, which is great because if you've got some children in the family, you want to protect them from .xxx. There's a small little problem I find with this whole domain thing, and the problem is this: you're not going to have these companies that put so much money for all these years in .com domains just say, okay, I'm on XXX, I'm going to let the other one expire. Because some of those website domain names are really good domain names. So I don't see the .xxx domain being Oh, it can be used, but I don't see it being used in the right way. If this was like 5, 10 years ago, and they put it right out with the other top level domains, then .xxx would have more impact. But there's a lot of back and forth. I bet you once .xxx came out, there's probably somebody, let's say Sherry's page or something like that, .com. And then all of a sudden they try to register Sherry's page.xxx and they go, whoa, hey, wait a minute, somebody already registered. That's not fair. There's a lot of back and forth on it. But the biggest one that I see is you got a .xxx domain. That's all well and good. You're not going to get rid of your .com, your .net, your .org. Just not going to happen. You're just going to keep that domain and get the .xxx. So we're not circumventing. Yeah, well, we are trying to circumvent the problem, but it's not happening. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that we're going to have a better internet for a .xxx domain? Or are we going to have a lot of companies that are trying to block it? A lot of ISPs that will try to block .xxx. I know we're going to run into it. The news story is going to say some ISP is being sued because they're blocking .xxx. It's going to happen. So let me know, geekazine@gmail.com or 608-205-4378. You can go over to HuffingtonPost.com and check that out. Now a part of AOL. Sorry. Well, I watched Piers Morgan tonight and got to hear Biz Stone and Jack Dorsey talk. Of course, Jack Dorsey, and this is over on Mashable.com. Jack Dorsey has rejoined the Twitter group to get Twitter back up and running, I guess. So they basically have, they said last week we reported, they said that Twitter does about 1 billion tweets in a week, which is great. They talked about it a lot. They had Alyssa Milano on Piers Morgan. They had Gary Vee was on Piers Morgan. They had, who else did they have on Piers Morgan? That's a bunch, a good cast of Twitterers, Twitter characters, Twitters, I think that's how you pronounce it. So it was pretty good, really good discussion between Biz and Jack, and was really impressed on that. So you can check that out over at Mashable.com. If you haven't heard, Apple, of course, came out with the Worldwide Developers Conference, and guess what? It sold out 10 hours, so nothing crazy like 10 seconds or something like that. But by 6:30 p.m., the conference, which costs about $1,599, was sold out. It was 7 times faster than last year's sellout, which was 8 days. So WWDC is going to happen from June 6th through June 10th in San Francisco in the Moscow and West Center. I think I'm going to be in Vegas that week. And there's about 5,000 attendees to that. So the question is, next year, is it going to be more than 5,000? Are we going to see about 10,000, 20,000? Are they going to grow it, or are they just going to keep it at that and maybe even raise the price? 5,000 for $2,500, $5,000 a person? Of course, the big rumor being Mac OS 5. And a lot of, they're saying we're going to change the iPhone OS and the Mac OS. And it's making me wonder if there's going to be a merger of the two. Eventually it's going to happen. Where it's like one operating system to rule them all. I know, I said it. I move on. But what do you think? What do you think's going to happen over at WWDC? We're going to find out about iPhone 5. I'm pretty sure of that. Man, we're definitely going to find out some improvements of the iOS system. I'm assuming that's going to be iOS, 5 as well? And we're going to see how the iPad's going to run the iOS 5. And a whole bunch of other stuff. So we'll see what happens. You can check this out on appleinsider.com. A couple people here that passed away. First of all, Paul Barron, who led the technical crew to, and I'm going to bring up the picture here. That's the wrong picture. Paul Barron, who led the crew on ARPANET, passed away. He was 84 years old, so sad to hear from that. You can both of these articles are on New York Times. So Paul Barron of the ARPANET, and of course the inventor of superglue, Harry Wesley Coover Jr. He invented superglue, and he passed away in Kingsport, Tennessee, over the weekend. He was 94 years old. So sad day because the ARPANET and superglue, and the two things, could use superglue to fix the ARPANET maybe. I don't know. Anyway, the internet as we know it, to two founders, inventors, technicians passed away. So it's a sad day. So check those out over on NewYorkTimes.com. All right, when we were at CES, we saw tons of tablets, and there was this one tablet from EPC that I got to see for a couple minutes, and I was really impressed with. EPC, last year's EPC tablet, or not tablet, but netbook. Netbook folded over, and it was kind of a tablet, and it was pretty impressive. But this year, they came out with a brand new one. They're calling it an EPAD transformer. I can speak here. And what's really cool about this is it's a tablet with a dock for a keyboard and a dock for a mouse. So it turns into a regular notebook. Now, we saw some other ones. We saw Lenovo with theirs, and of course Dell came out with their Dell. The screen flips around and flips down. But the biggest problem that I had with both of those tablet to notebook computers is that when you took the it turned into a tablet, it became an Android tablet. And when you flipped it back into the laptop, it would become a Windows 7 laptop or whatever. It would not be the same operating system. It would have to suspend the operating system and go into this tablet operating system. Well, the thing about this, from what I understand, is it's just one operating system on here. And I like that idea. And I can put it into a dock. And I don't know if this dock is a pluggable dock or if it's a Bluetooth dock. I'm really hoping it's a Bluetooth dock, because that means that I could actually put this tablet onto a surface or onto a stand a little bit farther away and then type a little bit more comfortably. But anyway, you can dock it in. It's like a notebook, folds down like a notebook, and then you can take it apart, and it's a tablet. It runs the Tegra 2 processor, dual core, and I believe it's at 1.6. It's got Polaris Office 3.0, Office XLS, the Microsoft Office programs, PowerPoint, Adobe. You can get it with Android. I believe it is, Android system. You got an NVIDIA. I said the Tegra 2 dual-core processors, excuse me. Android's Honeycomb system. So you have a lot of different options here, and a pretty good computer. I mean, for this tablet, it looks like the tablet would actually match my HP laptop here. So I'm pretty impressed on that. So if you want to check this out, go over to epc.com for the tablet there. Over at Tech News World is where we saw that article. All right. New York Times is launching, of course, their paywall. They've been I'm gonna kind of adjust here a touch. Sorry about that. They're gonna do their paywall, and they decided, well, we'll get people on really quick. So we're gonna just give you some really good discounts to get into the paywall. Discount offered the first 4 weeks at $14 reduction, and you get web and smartphone access. A $19 markdown option for that includes web and tablet access, and a $34 discount for more, which is the unlimited viewing on all platforms. Now, I'm not a big fan of their paywall to begin with, and of course I got a couple articles from New York Times there, because you can view the content on the first time, but if you keep going to the same content, it's going to say, hey, wait a minute, you might want to sign up, you might want to do this, you might want to do that. But they're trying the paywall, and of course New York Times has the ability to do that. They got a lot of people that are reading the New York Times, so they're going to see what happens there. They've tried this before, and it didn't work. Now that the life has gotten a little bit more mature in computers, try it again, see what happens. So what do you think? Are you going to pay for news content, or are you going to just find free content online? Let me know. Geekazine@gmail.com or 608-205-4378. Intel's announced their 320 series, third generation SSD solid state drives. They're based on the 25 nanometer NAND flash memory. That NAND stands for N-AND. It's a technical term. Flash memory process, basically and, either or and, that type of stuff. Their Intel Micron announced the last year, the 25 nanometer. They run over 3 gigabits per second SATA connections. You can get the drives from 40 to 160 gigabytes. Yeah, they're working on the 300 gigabyte and the 600 gigabyte models, which are available. Oh, they are available now. Okay. They have price reductions of up to 30% compared to the X25. And I guess I'm rolling back. I don't know why. It's kind of weird. Anyway, so we're getting better with the SSD. There's still a lot of little technical glitches and stuff like that. I always like to say, if you got an SSD, always back it up to a regular hard drive or back it up to another drive. And that way, because SSDs can still corrupt, SSDs can still fail. And the biggest problem with SSDs right now is if, unlike a hard drive has a small scratch on it, there's still a chance you can get data off of it. SSD fails in something, you lose your data. You can't even get in the drive. And that's the biggest problem I have on there. They might have made some changes. I haven't seen it in a couple months, so I'll have to revisit SSDs and take a look at that. But it looks pretty interesting. If you want to catch out all the tech specs, go over to PCMag.com. All right, check this out. Apparently, this is something that people do on vacation, and if I ever took a vacation, maybe this is what I would do. I don't know, but there was a bunch of people that were taking some pictures of these rays, these stingrays, that they jump out of water, kind of like a whale does, and splash around, and it's nice pictures. Well, apparently, this one ray decided to jump out of the water and fall on this woman. Now, the thing about this ray is, it's 300 pounds. So Jenny Hosh, who was the person in the chartered boat, went to take some pictures, and all of a sudden this ray fell right on top of her. And they got her. They got it up. I think she's safe. I don't think there's any problems there. But it was definitely a big scare for Jenny Hosh. It's amazing. You got when you're doing stuff like that, just remember there's a little level of being of concern there, a little dangerousness there. So, she was trying to move, and the fish was of course attacking her or defending itself, one of the two, however you want to look at it. But they got it. It's a pretty cool story. So check this out. It's all over at CNN.com. We got the link, of course, in the show notes. So, all right. Amazon's launching a smartphone music streaming service in the United States. Apple, are you listening? Okay, here we go. They are partnering with a company called Cloud Drive, and they're going to offer 5 gigabytes of free storage for documents, pictures, videos, and music. More storage available for free down the road. You can use Amazon Cloud Player or the web or Amazon Cloud Player for Android. So you'll be able to put all your MP3s. And I kind of like this. I remember 3 years ago, I was telling you how I was using Rhapsody, and I was using Rhapsody, and I liked Rhapsody. I really did. But it was a service, and at the time I thought to myself, hey, it's a great service because if I wanted a song, I just had to call it up and there was a song. I was all happy. And I had an MP3 player that was able to download everything. But as time progressed, and I got myself a newer MP3 player and then eventually a smartphone, that changed because I didn't have the MP3s anymore, and I decided to just cancel the service. And then all those songs are gone. I didn't have any songs on my computer. Now with this service, you can put your songs on the cloud and bring the service down to you, which is great. So I'm kind of liking this. We'll see how this works. Of course, I haven't tested it, but it's definitely something for a lot of people to think about. Do you want to? You could put stuff up on the cloud and say, hey, I want this song, I want this song, I want this song. Bring it back down. and work from there. I don't know. Sounds pretty cool. We'll see what happens. You can get it for the BlackBerry and Palm OS and Android on the Android market. iPad and iPhone, of course, are not available just yet, but they're working on it. So if you want to check out more, go over to PCWorld.com. Let me know. Would you get an Amazon? I think, yeah, you'd have to get the Amazon service. But would you want to try this for that and get the MP3s put on? You still have to buy the MP3s to put it up there. I'm assuming they have to be legal MP3s. So let me know, 608-205-4378 or geekazine@gmail.com. You know, it's kind of sad because we looked at Chumby. I remember a few years ago, Chumby came out and was like, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But it had a small screen, 640 by 480 display. And then the next year when we saw them at CES, they basically said, well, we're trying to just give our service out or sell our service to another picture frame company. And so they didn't do too much production. And then this last year at CES, didn't see Chumby at all. I don't know if they were there or not, but I didn't see Chumby. Well, now they're back, and they're coming out with brand new touch displays. Except they're a small little problem. They have the 1500 app catalog, and they've got a lot of cool little products and content, but the touchscreen 8-inch 800 by 600 touch display. And I'm not sure. I'll have to look down here. The price is $199. And, of course, you can get it with Android. We're going to go down here a second. Let me just flip back over to this camera so you don't see this. It says 800 megahertz processor, Armada 166, 8-inch 800 by 600 touchscreen LCD, which means you can you can't even get 720p video on it. 802 by 11 BG Wi-Fi, no N. The headphone line out, the integrated speakers, the microphone input, dimmable backlight. So this might be a great item to have for like a nanny cam. But I don't see. It's not to the point. It needs to be at least 720p in resolution for video. Because it would be really cool because I could put it on my night dresser. I could get the Netflix service on it, and I could watch it from there. And I could still do it here. But it would have been nice if they would have just kind of taken that extra effort and built it up better than an 800 megahertz processor, at least 1 gig, maybe even a dual core in there, and get it more beefed up. I'm not impressed with this. It's a good step for Chumby, but they're still behind the game in this one. So, what do you think? Do you think would you buy a Chumby? Let me know. Geekazine@gmail.com or 608-205-4378. Got an article here that apparently didn't load up. Let me try and load it up again. Yes. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. This is the $8 million iPad. And I don't know if it's an iPad or iPad 2. Oh, it is an iPad 2, yes. It's made with gold plating backing, diamond encrusted Apple logo. And, of course, it's Stuart Hughes is the company. Now, from what I understand, back at the Oscars, the Academy Awards, I remember watching Jimmy Kimmel after the Academy Awards, and they had Tom Hanks on. And he was talking, and I think I talked about this before, but he was talking about how with the Academy Awards, your hands get so sweaty that when you're grabbing the Academy Award, which is also gold plating, the chemical reaction, makes the gold plating start to tarnish because it just doesn't like the touch of skin. So you got an iPad with gold plating on it. You put your hands on that gold plating, and what happens? You're basically just letting it melt away. So after about 2 or 3 months, actually maybe even less than 2 or 3 months, I'd say within a couple weeks, you'll look at the back of your iPad and it's like, there's my finger marks in there. That's kind of weird. I spent $8 million to have finger marks in here? I don't know. Unless they've got some sort of coating or something like that to keep it from happening. That would be the one downfall of an $8 million iPad too. So, and of course, I remember when the iPhone got souped up, and I think the iPad 1 got souped up as well. But you can get this $8 million. All you have to do is go to Stuart Hughes and say, "Hey, I want one," or you can check it out over at mtv.com and and just kind of salivate a little bit. I'm not salivating myself. I do want an iPad 2, and we still have the contest going where you can win to buy me an iPad 2. All you have to do is go over to Geekazine and go to the top there. And I'm just going to click on it really quick. You go over to the top there, and of course, it will take you to the page on how to buy me an iPad 2. Right on the top there, right next to the Geek Girl, you can enter, win, buy me an iPad 2 contest. And of course, the winner, which we will draw on April 1st. And yes, we do have contestants. We do have entrants to the contest on April 1st. I'll draw a winner, and that winner will get the opportunity to buy me an iPad 2. Of course, you got to choose which iPad 2 you want to buy me. The white model, the black model, 16 gigabytes or 64 gigabytes with 3G or with just regular Wi-Fi. You can choose. If you do get me a model with 3G, you have to pay for 1 year's service. So enter now. Go over to geekazine.com. Just click on the top there. Win, buy me an iPad 2 contest. So, are you going to do it? Let me know. All right, let's move on with the show here. People are going to do it, I think. I don't know. We'll find out. Firefox 4 for Android just launched. It's you can sync, speed up browsing. It's a release candidate. Came out about a week ago. It's ready to go. Firefox 4 for Android. So if you've got an Android phone, check that out. You can find out more over at Engadget.com. I think the next article. There we go. Oh, hey, have you ever had a program where the program, maybe you put in a disk or something like that, or you say, you click on the link that's the email or something like that, and it opens up another program in Windows? Well, here's a great little tip over on makingwindowseasy.com. And this shows you how you can tell your computer not to open up a program like Internet Explorer 9. Open up Chrome instead. Open up Firefox instead. And it's basically a thing called Manage Add-ons. And my biggest thing is when I plug in my iPhone, the iTunes opens up, and I don't want that to happen all the time. So I went into the Manage, and I actually removed the iTunes from that. So when I plug in my iPhone, it doesn't do that every single time. So that's one thing that I do on that. There's many other programs. I know when I first plugged in my FireWire camera, and it turned it on, it would open up this other program that I don't use. So I had to go in the Manage Add-ons and take out the program. So a lot of cool stuff. You can check that out over at makingwindowseasy.com. If you've got an iPad 2, and I think this also works for an iPad 1, you can go over to Cult of Mac and check this out. It is the iPad SSD card reader. And, of course, it's an SSD card reader, or I'm sorry, not an SSD, but an SD card reader, or flash media card reader, compact flash. That's what I'm trying to say. And, of course, there's a little USB port on it. You plug it into the dock, and you can plug in your SD card. The price on it, I believe, is only $30. Yep, $30. And which is about the same thing as a camera connection kit. So you can get that over at the name, what was the name of the company? I forgot that already. So check that out. Go over to cultomac.com and you can check that out. All right, there was a cool study over here, and we got this off of CNN. Apparently, Health.com did a study, and they found that people who had been burned by an ex or something like that, is just as painful as getting burned by coffee. They did a research where they checked the brain networks and what was activated when things like that happen. And apparently there wasn't a distinguishment between physical pain or emotional pain. It was still the same type of pain. The study was published in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. They believe that the rejection and other emotional trauma can be the same type of pain as a physical injury. So that's a pretty interesting scientific fact. If you want to read more on this, you can go over to CNN.com. The original article is over on health.com. And ladies and gentlemen, we've got one more article, and then we're going to get you on the halfway point here. And this is over at methodshop.com and a couple other sites. But check this out. If you're planning to get yourself an iPad 2, you got to ask yourself the question, is this going to be the most powerful tablet to work with? The answer technically is no. And this chart's telling me no. And this chart will tell you no. This chart is basically going to go through and say what the advantages, what the disadvantages are. And the one thing, if you notice, you have the Apple iPad 2, the Motorola Zoom, the Samsung Sliding PC7, and the Notion Ink Atom. And actually, I gotta tell you that I did not know about the Notion Ink Atom until I saw this article. And I think the reason why it was put into this article was because it does beat the iPad, hands down. The only thing that it doesn't beat the iPad in is cameras. And maybe connectivity, too. I don't think there's a 3G model or a 4G model. But it's got twice as much memory. I think it's like 1 gigabyte of RAM and SD card and a flash card. The screen is about the same size. The battery life is better. The camera's not as better as an iPad. It's only got one camera, whereas the iPad has a dual camera. And, of course, the price right there. Check that out. $499 for the low-end iPad 2, or $327 for the Atom. And it's already out. It's just on back order. So that might be their downfall, though, is if they can't get those tablets out. Now, I think that this is also running an Android, and they both got dual-core processors. And this one's running the NVIDIA Tegra 250, I think it is. It's the Cortex A9 processor. So Apple iPad 2 is not the fastest, not the best system out there, speed-wise, so on and so forth. But it is the one system out there that everybody knows and loves. So, are you going to get yourself an iPad? Do you have yourself an iPad? Are you going to get yourself an iPad? Let me know. Geekazine@gmail.com or 608-205-4378. It does bring us to the end of part 1, and I don't think I have the video loaded up for part 2 here. No, I do not. Nice. So I'm going to load this up in about 10 seconds here, and we will be right back. We're going to go over to device.com and check out the ping pong that they did with video copters. And we will be right back on the Geekazine weekly podcast. All right, here we go. welcome back to the Geekazine Weekly Podcast. Jeffrey Powers here, 608-205-4378 or geekazine@gmail.com. It's now 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm a little bit kind of losing it a little bit, and I didn't take any drink of water as I was loading up the second half of the show. Do that really quick. If you watch the video, it was over on device.com. Apparently, they took up these quadricopters, and they put little rackets on them. And then they just basically played some ping pong back and forth. First of all, they saw the person throw the ping pong, and the copter would then use the paddle to bounce it. And apparently they've got it so it's some sort of motion thing. So, and they got all the video on there. We only saw the first part of the video. There's many other videos on how they did it. So check that out over at device.com. Of course, we got that in the show notes. All right. Question of the week, how much do you read Twitter? Go over to geekazine.com and fill it out, which percentage how much time you spend on Twitter. Like I said, I did an informal survey, and I believe that about the average person reads about 125 to 185 tweets that uses Twitter on a regular basis. So, which really isn't that much for as many tweets, billion tweets a week. How many tweets that you'll actually see? So, of course, go and fill out the survey there. And, of course, check out the article I did over on Method Shop. It's called Dropbox, Third-Party Applications, Frenzy, and Views.fm. So check that out over there. I got a link in the show notes, of course. All right, let's get into part 2 and move on to your merry way. Congratulations to Stand By Me, cast of characters. And I thought Richard Dreyfuss passed away. But apparently that's not true. They sat down, and I actually watched the Today Show this morning, and they had the cast on. They talked about it. Of course, you have Will Wheaton, you had Corey Feldman, you had Jerry O'Connell, and then River Phoenix, who tragically ended his life. You had Rob Reiner, who put together the film, and of course Richard Dreyfuss, who was the voice, the narrating voice. Person that they missed on this was Kiefer Sutherland, and I'm surprised that he wasn't in this, but because he played the bad guy, he played the older kid. Him and the other guy, which was in the movie Summer School, who played Chainsaw's best friend, Dave, I think was his name. Anyway, but anyway, it's 25 years of Stand By Me. I'm gonna check out that video, of course. Check it out. I think it's on Netflix. And pretty cool. What's your favorite part of Stand By Me? I think it's still the storytelling. But let me know. Geekazine@gmail.com or 608-205-4378. All right. Apparently, people are having problems. This is over on Fox News. People are having problems with the DUI checkpoint applications that are coming out for Android and iPhone. But they want to get a ban on it. They don't want people to know where the cops are sitting to bust you. And they're also talking about if it's acceptable to do speed traps, but it's definitely not acceptable to try and circumvent cops and be drunk driving. You shouldn't drink and drive. Period. If you're going to go out and have a good time, get a designated driver. It's as simple as that. And I'm going to tell you right now, I do not have a DUI. I am very responsible when I drink and drive. And I don't need an application to tell me where the police are. Because I drive normal. I drive, I'm very cautious. I know the traffic laws. And I'm not one of those people that just have to speed to get home or anything like that. I'm not one of those that go under the speed limit and doodle as I go, but I drive, and I really don't think, I personally don't need an application like this. But if you feel that you do, they're still out there, but they might not be out there much longer, so check it out. And if you pay like $50 for the app, you might not want to buy it right now, because it might go bye-bye later. Just thoughts. So anyway, foxnews.com if you want to check that out. All right. The reason why I asked the question of the week was because of this article over on Mashable.com, and it says that they did a study of 20,000 Twitter users. They see that half of the spotlight through basically they see about 0.05% of social networks, uh, tweets out there. They checked over 260 million tweets with URLs. They studied that the authors analyzed nearly 50% of the tweets consumed were created by what they called elite users, who fall into categories of media, celebrities, organizations, and bloggers. So, pretty interesting article here, and I'm losing the touch of my focus. Apologize, but basically they're saying that 20,000 Twitter's users take half the spotlight data on Twitter, and that's actually with Geekazine. That's what I do too. When I see a link and I want to retweet it. In fact, there were a couple tweets when people were in South by Southwest. I saw this tweet and I had to retweet it. That said, political landscape has changed because now that all the mayors are sitting in Austin, there's a good chance to overthrow Foursquare governments, I guess you could call it. And that got retweeted several times, and there were a couple others that I retweeted. But that's what it's all about. It's all about going back and forth. I don't know about plagiarism or anything like that. I suppose that definitely is a factor in there, but you can't claim plagiarism on something like that. I don't know. But interesting article here. Check this out. It's over at Mashable.com. All right. Researchers are looking at microchips and increasing microchips, and they're doing it using these things called nanotubes. They basically want to get rid of copper. That's what light peak technology was doing. The new Thunderbolt port on your Mac Pro uses fiber cable rather than copper, because fiber data transfer is faster than copper. Same thing with microchips. They want to get rid of the copper for these nanotubes. It's an interesting process, but they could be small and they could be faster. And they say that they have the technology. They can put this all together and have these microchips out within 6 months. I think that was the time frame. But they can set it up. And they're smaller. These nanotubes are going to be smaller than copper wires, so you can stuff more together. You're gonna need like laser precision to put this all together. But nanotubes might be our next thing. Pretty cool stuff. So if you want to check this out, go over to device.com. And of course, we'll have the link in the show notes so you can see all that. All right. If you are a friend of Mac, or if you're a fan of mac and cheese, Kraft is doing something pretty interesting. If you do and you go and you retweet something, how'd that work? They're basically looking at Twitter, and they're turning all mac and cheese tweets into TV ads. So you got a limited amount of time. So go up and check that out. Go over to Kraft's TBS thing. They will run the ads during Conan and Lopez tonight on TBS. And, of course, you can check it out on their Facebook page. So if you want more information, go to their Facebook page or Twitter page. And, of course, you can go to Mashable.com to check this out. All right, some big news. James Gosling, who is the father of Java programming language, was hired by Google after he left Oracle, 1 year after Oracle's acquisition, and Sun Microsystems. So pretty interesting stuff. We're going to see what happens with Gosling over at Google. Of course, he cannot use Java, but could we see the next innovation over at Google? Pretty interesting stuff. I can't wait to see what he comes up with, maybe some new ideas. Of course, we'll probably have some back and forth, maybe some lawsuits, patent lawsuits, trade secrets lawsuits, blah, blah, blah. And we'll see from there. But, of course, James Gosling, it was a year, so I think there's no issues about getting a job over at Google. But, yeah, there's probably going to be some question whether whatever he creates over there is part of a patent for Java. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what he decides to create over at Google. Maybe we'll find something to go past Java. I hate Java. Hate it with a passion. The one thing I hate about Java, every time I reboot my computer or get it out of hibernation, Java says, it's time to do an upgrade. And I go into the properties and I say, I uncheck the check for updates, and it says, hey, do you want to just wait a week or just never ask again? And I say, never ask, and hit apply. And what happens? I'll reopen up that program with the properties, and the checkbox will be checked again. I'll reboot the computer, and Java will ask me, hey, there's an update. You want to update now? Let's update now. I'm not a fan of Java, not one bit. So if we can replace Java, I'd be happy as I'll get out. And I know Java's there. There's a lot of open source. OpenOffice works on Java, and it's all, it's a great little thing for a lot of people, but I hate it. Can't stand it. Not my thing. Anyway, what do you think? Do you like Java? Do you hate Java? Do you want James Gosling to create a new version of something for Google? Let me know. 608-205-4378 or geekazine@gmail.com. Over on Geek News Central, they talk about KL Tech News talks about Banana TV. If you're a Mac enthusiast and you want to get an Apple TV to use AirPlay, you might want to check out Banana TV. You download it and you install it, and it appears in your menu bar. It's a protocol that allows you to stream AirPlay to enable videos or images. And you can put it to your mobile device like your iPad, iPhone, or iPod Touch. It runs off of OS 4.2. If you want to read more on that, go over to geeknewscentral.com. All right. Some big news over on the mobile credit card front. That's the word, front. Credit card teams are teaming up with Google for mobile payments. So you'll be able to get your MasterCard, your Visa, over your Android. There's a company, Google's flagship NFC phone of the Nexus S. I'm running out of words to speak here. Hold on a second. Okay. They're working with MasterCard and Citigroup to make purchases through your phone rather than a credit card. Wall Street Journal broke the news, and of course, we got this off of Wired, so you can check that over at wired.com. It's a partnership, so you can use for the card holders to pay for retail items after activating an application on Android, NFC-enabled smartphones. So that's the key right there. It's got to be an NFC-enabled smartphone. It then verifies through Verifone systems and point-of-sales electronics. I'm assuming that it's going to do some sort of verification that you're you. So, and of course, they got a video on how it works, so you can check that all out over at wired.com. Finally, last part of the show, and we'll get you on your merry way. This is actually really, really cool. I'm glad I saved this best for last. This is the best for last. Scientists created an artificial leaf. It's just amazing. I read through this and I was just amazed on how they did this. But they grew the solar tree and they created a leaf out of chemicals. I'm gonna let you read this. It's over at dailytech.com. But they have the one thing that they said was this leaf beat out a natural leaf in design and efficiency. So we can start making artificial trees, different types of trees, different types of leaves, different types of branches, some new brands of trees, designer synthetic trees, maybe, that could do a lot more. And think about it, if they work with these creating the shrubberies and the trees and creating them so they soak up a little bit more CO2, a little bit less CO2, whatever, they could definitely use this stuff, these synthetic plants, to basically level out our natural, what we ruined already. And that's pretty cool. I really think so. Dailytech.com. You want to check that out. And in the meantime, I'd love to grow an artificial tree and an artificial sun at 80 degrees where I can crawl underneath the tree and just take a nap. Oh, wait. The Geekazine Weekly Podcast has now come to a close. So now I can go upstairs and I can go take a nap. One more, go to sleep and wake up, do this whole thing all over again. So let me know what you thought of the show, what you liked, what you didn't like on it. It looks like we're going to about an hour. A lot of links for an hour. So let me know, 608-205-4378 or geekazine@gmail.com. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that is it. It's time to put your kids to bed. It's time to put yourself to bed. Time to put me to bed. And time to move on with the Geekazine Weekly Podcast. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. We're going to send you on your merry way. And, okay. Thanks a lot. I'm done. Okay. Take care. We'll see you next time.